In life, we tend to develop habits, and it's not often that we want to change those habits unless it's something of detriment to ourselves. But sometimes things we do are of detriment to others. This is the harsh reality why veganism must be adopted. Let's not sugarcoat it. Animal exploitation is one of the biggest moral atrocities that is ignored to this day. Every day, sentient beings are put through things we wouldn't even dream, probably for our worst enemy. And the number of them who are forced into this situation, we couldn't begin to even understand. If you call yourself an animal lover, hell, a decent person, or just not a bad person, it's time to walk the walk, because veganism isn't some sort of diet. It's a moral baseline. Because we are already engaging in bad things, we're kind of set up to do things that are harmful. It's not our fault, this is just what we were brought into. But then we have to learn and no longer do the bad thing. Because animals are not products. End of story. Cows aren't milk machines, hens aren't egg dispensers, pigs aren't bacon waiting to happen. Every one of them is a someone, and as much as we want to say they're a thing like a table, we can deny it all we want, but they are feeling beings. Human beings are not special here. Let's suppose it's actually just easier for the industries that profit from their exploitation to have you believe that they don't feel, that they don't experience. Because if they did, which they do, what happens to them would be horrific. And humane labels do not change the outcome. The animal dies, that's the bottom line. And it's not just that they die, they are killed. Slaughterhouses don't offer some sort of gentle, merciful death. And if we want to argue that it was merciful because their life was so horrific, we made it so. We can't just make life a horror show for them, then use it as a justification to kill them. No label, not free range, not local, not organic, changes the matter that these animals were bred into existence with a premeditated killing. These animals aren't free, so why are we calling it free range? The locality doesn't suddenly change the ethics, so why do we take that into account? Let's not pretend we can exploit individuals in a kind way. And we may think, okay, why not vegetarian? Well, dairy and eggs are not cruelty-free. Vegetarianism doesn't call for us to consider animals in our clothing, in cosmetics, and it certainly doesn't actually consider the animals because, as we said, dairy and eggs aren't suddenly these things that are free from exploitation. We've covered countless times on Vegan FTA just how horrific the dairy and the egg industry are for these animals. From stolen motherhood to broken bodies. When people are kind enough to rescue these animals end up often dying very prematurely because we've designed them in a way that's not in the interest of a long, happy, healthy life. People know they're going to kill these animals when they're very young. So what would it matter if their body gives up on them in mere years? Or for some of these animals, weeks. What state have we got in where we think we can just change the bodies of these individuals to suit what we would like to take from them? And we take everything. Veganism must be adopted because we've normalized the unthinkable. Because we've used them in whatever way we see fit, we can just kind of put them in any situation whatsoever without seemingly a second thought. Think of places like gestation crates or then farrowing crates, where these animals are forced to live. They cannot even move. Or chickens in these cages, or when they are suddenly free from the cages, there's so many other chickens around them that they barely have their own space. Or think of the situation of taking babies from their mothers, when we know of the bond that they can experience, and then having the audacity to claim that we are protecting these babies. Like we're some sort of savior, like a cow can't be a good mother. Even animals we claim to love, like dogs for example, we'll put them in races and force them to race like we do in the greyhound racing industry. Or we'll cut off parts of their body for our own aesthetic pleasure. Veganism must be adopted because exploiting animals is big business and we cannot see ourselves funding that, surely. Every non-vegan purchase is a vote for breeding these animals into existence to use them. No, we're not directly pulling the trigger, But don't we also condemn people heavily if they pay a hitman to do their job for them? It is not a question that it need be adopted because, as said earlier, humans are not special. We are not the only feeling creatures on this planet. It is the case that non-human animals also feel. There's no argument from necessity. It's not like we need to put ourselves in some sort of desert island hypothetical and say, well, if I needed to, I'd do it. Well, we don't need to. And if we don't need to do this, then why are we doing this? And a lot of the time it boils down to convenience, taste, pleasure. So we are subjecting animals to just absolute atrocious things because of our convenience and pleasure. What sense does that make at all? Are we not ashamed? Is that the legacy that we want to go forward with? Veganism must be adopted because it's just the start. It's acknowledging an issue with how we were raised, how we were socialized, and rejecting it. It's the beginning of living in alignment with your values when it comes to sentience, when it comes to individuals who can feel, like how you want to interact with that. Do you want to harm individuals? Do you want to violate their negative rights? Probably not, right? Once you stop seeing animals as resources, you see the system for what it is: violent, unjust, and in absolute need of changing. This one upsets a lot of people, but if you wouldn't do it to a dog, then why would you do it to a cow? Empathy and compassion doesn't just stop at the dog. It's like, oh, yeah, you feel, and I'll acknowledge that. But you're a cow, so I won't acknowledge that in you. People often come up with reasons. They'll be like, well, because they're my pet. And it's like, okay, well, would you kill a dog if they weren't someone's companion animal? No, probably not, right? We come up with all these excuses, but isn't it just better to acknowledge that there's no real excuse to live in alignment with values that don't require us to scramble for some sort of justification that we can't even consistently apply or honestly back? Essentially, the time to wake up was yesterday, was the day before, but the best time currently is currently. Billions of animals are subjected to moral crimes every single year. Every second you delay is another second of misery for someone else that you've signed off on. So take the next step. Go vegan for them. And hell, go vegan for yourself. If you're watching this up to this point, you probably care, right? So let's just say it. It's time to go vegan right now. There'll be some links below in the description that will help you along the way. Basically, what you may have known about veganism may have been wrong. Veganism isn't some sort of trend, it isn't some sort of diet, it's not about getting likes or attention. It's about standing up against what is clearly, blatantly wrong, shouldn't have happened, should definitely not happen now. It's about saying no more, not in my name. And special thank you to our channel members and our patrons. You can become a YouTube channel member by clicking that join button below. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to go vegan for the animals because they are who it means everything to.